Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. We're also sponsored by Architect, the premier site for hosting your decks on the internet. I love them and they love me, and it seems like a good reason for you to use them. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivamB. And now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Architect and Quiver Time and my patrons at patreon.com/ShivamB. I've been saying it way too fast, and people are like, hey, what if you slowed down so folks actually go to your Patreon? Fair and reasonable. Today, I'm very excited to have my fourth Dutchman on here, which makes us I think next to Canada, the most foreigners I've had outside of America on the show, which is pretty sick. The artist and, artist for Magic, Leon Tukker, who has done a lot of concept pushes and did Ornithopter of Paradise from the new Avishkar set, Aether Drift set, and like the lands and the precons and everything. I don't know, you've done a bunch of stuff, and your art is super cool, and we've been having a lot of fun just chatting at Magic Cons, hanging out.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting.
Yeah, like our mutual friend Danny was like super excited to introduce you to me or introduce me to you in Las Vegas.
In Vegas, yeah.
And like you were sitting behind your table, and I'm like, cool, that's cool. And then you stand up to say hello, and I'm like, oh, this guy is a tree. What is it?
It's so funny because people from the US that they used to work with, they're always surprised when they meet me in real life. Because and even for Dutch standards, I'm not that tall. I'm like 192 or something. Yeah,
but it's ridiculous because Dutch standards are like 14 feet tall.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But that was such a fun MagicCon though, because my booth was right across the creator central kind of thing. So everyone was just coming over to me to say hi, and I made so many friends during that weekend. It was really great.
Yeah, it was awesome because like you have to sit in your booth all day. You can't leave or go anywhere. So having everybody be able to come to you must be much nicer.
Oh, absolutely! It's very comfortable because you don't have to like make the step to talk to people and being all anxious and all that. And,
right? They're already here to see you, and you know why they're here to see you. So
and it's so great because like when you're behind the booth, you're this well-known person or something, and people are very nice. But if you go to the toilet, no one knows who you are anymore. That's so good.
I wish it was like that for me.
Yeah, for you it's a bit different. I can totally imagine. But right?
The weirdest thing that ever happened to me was going home from a Magic Con in airport security. They had taken my bag aside to look it through my, whatever my decks or something. Mm-hmm. And the guy behind me was like, holy crap, Shivam, you're here. Can I take a picture or sign something? I'm like, this is not the time. This is not the time.
Especially with Magic Cons. And there's always people at the airport that will recognize you. For me, it was different because my suitcase had like a bomb threat. Because they didn't recognize one of the deck boxes I was carrying with me, I was being interrogated in Amsterdam when I was flying over to Chicago. That was bad. That was a bad feeling,
dude. It happens to me all the time. There was one Vegas where the security guard lady tried to make me unsleeve a deck to get inside to see the cards, and I'm like, these are all double sleeved. They've got a thing, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Get your manager. We'll talk, whatever. But she like stopped. I'm like, look. Everybody in this line's also got 10,000 of these in their bags.
Yeah.
You're going to be here for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
But, like, I have this metal lunchbox, this Serial Experiment Lane lunchbox that I use to carry all my dice in, and I bring it back and forth to cons. Yeah. And that sets off every metal detector in the planet. Because it's just pure tin, right? And they're like, what is this crazy dark box full of things? I'm like, it's nothing. It's just dice, man.
and it's probably like when a MagicCon happens, it's probably after the 10th search they've done, they will start recognizing, these guys are all playing the same game. They should be good. They're not a threat or anything.
That's why every time I go to the airport to go to a MagicCon, I always let the guys know. I'm like, there's an event going on, and there's a lot of us who are going to be traveling
Yeah.
from here, so please pay attention. And
So now you know exactly. Yeah.
the weirdest one was, though, there was a security person who was from my LGS and recognized me and was like doing my security check and wanted to know what decks I was playing.
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
like, come on, this is not the time.
Exactly. Yeah. That's tricky in terms of professionalism, right?
Yeah, it was a little weird. It was cool. I mean, it was fine, I guess, but it was also like, is this really the best time?
Yeah, I should check you for explosives, but hey, what deck are you running? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like explosive iteration, maybe.
Yeah, oof, that seems dangerous.
Yeah, but it was funny though, because this time in Chicago, you forgot to get a booth.
Oh yeah, it was worse. It was worse than that. I applied for a booth, and being the ADHD person that I am, I forgot to press submit. So after a couple of months, I was like, I never got a confirmation email that they received my application, and then I emailed them like, hey, it's me, Leon, friendly neighborhood Leon from last year. Do you know what happened to my applications? And they were like, we didn't receive any. It's like,
oh no.
Yeah, and then until the last moment, I was still in doubt if they would give me a booth because I was put on the reserve list. And then a day before I was flying to Chicago, there was a spot that became available. So they called me like, "Oh, Leo, do you still want to have it?" And I was like, I have to think about it because in terms of marketing, people won't know you're there. And then as soon as I said yes, they said, unfortunately, there was someone else who was there before you, so no table for you. But they were very nice to me, and they gave me a guest ticket. So yeah, it's
because that would have been annoying if you're flying out here. Because I was going to wonder, I'm like, how did you get in the con if you didn't have a pass? Well, it was nice of them to at least give you a pass. So that you
that was very friendly. Yeah, and they made sure that next year, they will let me know what to do. You know what? Because last year I was very lucky to be sponsored for all 3 of the MagicCons to be there. So I never had to go through the application process. So I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
Oh no!
So, yeah.
Did you table in Amsterdam?
Yeah. I got a table at Chicago, Amsterdam, and Las Vegas last year.
Okay, yeah. I think I just didn't know you then, and I was too busy like meeting Magali for the first time. And I'm okay.
I was actually next to Magali, which is interesting. Yes, because I had some nice conversations. There were sometimes like 5 or 6 people at my booth just having fun. Next to me was Magali, and people were pitching tents and getting like fires going.
Dude, even me, I had a pass that let me go anywhere I wanted, and even I had to wait in that line at Magali. And Magali knows who I am, and she's still like, look, dude.
I heard some people who started getting in line at 9 a.m. and left the line at 4 p.m. I think that's how ridiculous it was.
Well, her line is infinitely. I mean, look, she doesn't come to America.
Yeah.
And she doesn't do many events, and she's also the most popular artist in Magic.
Oh, for sure.
I got her I commissioned her to draw something for me at the show.
Yeah.
She doesn't do that for like anybody, but she drew a Legend of Zelda for me.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, yeah, so I've got this cool picture of Link on it, and it's awesome. But anyways, yeah, dude. I was just like at Amsterdam, I was so enthralled with just being in Amsterdam that I totally forgot to like actually go and say hi to people.
Yeah, it's such an it's a very interesting city. But so the funny thing is, because I met Daniel after Amsterdam, I met him at an LGS at a local event, and he's really good at introducing people to people, right? And
yes,
for me, I am really comfortable behind a table, but it's a bit harder for me to just walk up to people. So getting to know him has been really great, because he introduced me to you and a ton of other people.
He's exactly me in the sense of we're the type of people who will collect friends and then put them in front of other people and say,
exactly,
you guys should be friends with each other.
Connectors. I'd like to call them.
It's a superpower.
It's a talent. It's for me. I don't have a hard time talking to people, and I really like making friends, but like walking up to them, it's sometimes a bit harder for me. Yeah.
I mean, it's wild because like when you think of the fact that I met Danny because we were in Philadelphia at the first MagicCon. Sheldon Menery, the guy who created Commander, had put out a panel and was like, hey, come and talk to me about Commander or whatever. And Danny and his friends came and said, hey, I run Commander in the Netherlands or something. And we had a good conversation, and then randomly met up for breakfast accidentally in the market across the street from the con the next
Yeah.
day, and became friends. And then he let me stay at his house for MagicCon Amsterdam.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And now we're like best friends for life, right? And
it's so funny how that sometimes happens randomly.
yeah, it's the best. I think that's probably also why I didn't meet you in Amsterdam, because if Danny had known, he would have introduced me.
Oh, for
but
sure.
If you didn't meet until after Amsterdam.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. In Amsterdam, I was definitely just like still getting used to cons and dealing with that, because I remember my first time in Chicago last year in February. It was just I was just scared all the time. I didn't know because I was sponsored to be there, but as soon as I got into the convention center, there was no one to show me around, and then I think I expected like a little help, and I was like, oh, I'm so lost. But then I made a bunch of friends as well. I mean, people are so friendly at MagicCon.
Yeah.
So there's
and like all the artists are all very helpful and very kind.
Oh yeah,
so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I don't mean to just harp on this stuff, but this is actually interesting to me, because like being able to see what it's like to go put up a table at a con from the other side is not something a lot of us do. But like meeting, I mean, the Netherlands is so small that like all the Magic players apparently know everybody else.
Oh yeah.
Like I had Heis on my show before. I don't even know. His name is the hardest name in the world to pronounce.
Yeah.
Gijsbert Hogendijk. And I'm like,
Gijsbert Hogendijk.
That's like the Dutchest possible name you could get.
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, my name is easy because it's just Leon Tukker. Could be an American name, but
exactly. I'm like, it's not even a Vander something. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. When there's a G involved, it's got to get hard at some point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but like I was like, oh man, I've had you, Frank, Carson, Danny, Heis on here, and I'm like, that's like half of the Dutch scene. Magic.
That's interesting because there's not too many players out there. It's the community is pretty tight knit. So I think at every small event you'll meet the same people, and of course because the Netherlands is so small, it's not hard to travel to places.
Right.
And but there's still. I mean, in the US, I think I still meet a lot of the same people at MagicCons in the US.
Well, that's because the ones of us who can actually travel to MagicCons are a very small number.
Yeah, like, exactly.
You will see a lot of like the locals, and then like a handful of nomads who go to each show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about MagicCon, even though we just came back from Chicago. Like I wanted to bring you on because you are a magic artist and you do really cool stuff. And on top of just doing art, you also do a lot of the concept work and concept design for like forthcoming sets.
Yeah, that's right.
I was curious, like, for instance, it was really funny because in Chicago, you were sitting there without just hanging out at like the free play areas, right?
Yeah.
And so like the last day, you, me, and Danny and our friend sit down and we play a game. And the only deck I had was the Sahili Precon from
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And you had drawn all the lands in it. And it was funny because like I would play a land and I'm like, look, it's a Leon Tukker playing.
And I didn't know at that point. I actually just got the deck myself. It got into my mailbox today. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting to see because when you do a card, you don't know how often it's going to appear or how good it's going to be. So, yeah, definitely you playing that deck and just pulling out all of my lands. That was super interesting.
Yeah, it was funny, though. Like, you went and signed them, so it made me happy. Yeah. They're beautiful, by the way. Those are some of my favorite, like, lands I've seen in quite some time because you get the Indian vibe of Avishkar, but also make it like feel very magical and futuristic. Yeah, and I think it's just really, really sick the way you. I
was so happy with that assignment because Avishkar is definitely my favorite plane in terms of architecture, in terms of all of the filigree, the gold details. Really fun.
I think your island in that set is just my favorite one.
Oh, cool! You know what I like is that everyone has a different favorite. I would honestly say that the island was my least favorite.
Oh, really? Which one's your favorite?
It's probably because it was a bit more back and forth in terms of feedback. So it makes you feel a bit more insecure about how it looks. My favorite is probably Forest and Mountains.
The Forest is so pretty. I mean, honestly, they're all beautiful. Like it's hard for me to pick, but I'm gonna go and buy a whole mess of them because I want to use them in a deck.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, it's just because like I will find like one or two lands that I like, and then just buy like 40 of them in foil, and just like for instance, did you see the cool paper cut lands that came out in Wilds of Eldraine?
Oh yeah.
If you look, the full art ones that are all look like they were drawn, like the people who did them did these big 3D boxes and then took pictures. but I bought a whole mess of them because they're like stunning. But these are just like, I love the way you, like at nighttime and the way that the light is kind of flowing through it. It's so pretty.
Awesome.
Uh,
Yeah, thank you. That's really,
yeah, and
really
like
nice.
your Ornithopter of Paradise is one of my favorites. I super love that card. It's like
Yeah.
the card itself is one of my favorite cards, but like
Mhm.
the way you made it look like it's like zipping through the air.
Yeah. Oh,
It's super
thank you.
sick.
It's funny because Neon Kamigawa was the first set that I've ever worked on. I just
Mm.
did one design for it when they were designing Boseiju, the city with the big bonsai tree.
Yeah, I love that thing.
So I already worked a little bit in the Neon Kamigawa set, but to return to it when doing the Ornithopter was really cool to use the Japanese influence and the scarab beetle design for the dragonfly.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
it still looks super sick. What did you do with Neon Dynasty? Like, how did you get involved in Magic?
So Neon Dynasty was actually the first set I've worked on with Zach Stella, and I've been playing Magic a long time, so off and on. But I started very early when I was like 14, I think.
Mm.
So usually Magic is always in terms of work. When you work as a digital artist, Magic is always like a goal that people want to work at.
Yeah.
But I never even considered it. I was just doing my thing. I was just having fun with working in animation and in the games industry. And back then, I was kind of known for drawing these big cityscapes, like these top-down, gigantic cityscapes, like with the island in Avishkar. And
Can you tell us who you worked for?
Which clients before
Yeah.
Wizards? I worked with Access Animations a lot, but unfortunately they went out of business due to budget cuts and AI, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And I worked with some local gaming companies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I did a couple of things with Paramount and with Paizo, who do Pathfinder,
Pathfinder,
the
yeah.
role-playing game. Yeah, so I was already kind of working within the pen and paper role playing and board game scene. But actually, Zach Stella approached me because for the Neon Dynasty set, he wanted a specific cityscape to be designed. And back then, I was. There were more people doing it, but I was quite popular online with doing specifically that thing. And back then, I was only doing that thing. So I was working in a very small niche in the creative industry.
That's a good place to be.
Oh, absolutely. So I only did jobs that I really like to do. And then Zach Stella came to me if I could design that city. And then I was like, yes, dream come true. That was really cool. I kind of shouted when I got the email. And we just worked on that and they were happy. And I've never left since. So
did you do that big original like kind of splash art of like the Boseiju tree over the kind of Kamigawa city?
So the card itself was made by Chris Ostrowski, I think, but I did the concept design for that. So the initial like a big purple and a bluish cityscape.
Dude, Neon Dynasty looks so sick.
It's such a cool set. So, but I think I was only involved in the alpha testing stage. So I wasn't part of the actual concept push. And then later on, they asked me back to do a similar thing, but for All Will Be One for Phyrexia. And so there was also some alpha designing for that. And after that, I got asked by Taylor Ingvarsson to work on a concept push for the Brothers War. And that was my first real concept push where I actually got to make a lot of designs.
Yeah, you made a lot of cards in Brothers War.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was also a bit of a mistake on my part because the Brothers War that was the first. Those were the first cards I worked on as well. And when they asked me, "Hey Leon, how much would you like to take on?" I was like, "Yeah, give me 12."
Oh no!
Yeah, I can handle it.
You have like a lot of mythics on top of that.
Yes.
They're all like important cards.
Yeah, that was also a very interesting thing to find out because when the spoiler season starts, I was super excited because I've never done any Magic cards at that point. I was like, I can't wait to see what the cards do because I was a player and I'm a fan, of course, so I was super excited. And every card they spoiled, mythic rare. And at some point I was like, dude, give me a common. I want to actually be able to pull this from packs, right? So this
I
was
mean,
interesting.
yeah, you had one of my favorite cards in Platoon Dispenser, which goes right into
Oh
my soldiers
yeah,
deck.
that's
You know,
right. I
like it,
remember. I remember drawing a little token for you
yeah,
in
because I
Vegas.
collect
Yes.
soldier tokens, right? And I came and I asked you if I could get you to, like, you gave me an AP of a platoon dispenser, and then you drew me one of the platoons it dispenses, and I was like, "This is
Yeah.
the coolest thing in the world."
Yeah. One of those little bots. Yeah.
Yeah, it's they're
And
horrifying looking, by the way.
yeah,
Little
it's
skulls on legs, like what the hell,
yeah,
man?
right. And it's funny because that card is actually the first card I've actually submitted, or yeah, the first card I worked on for the whole set, and my first card ever was the Platoon Dispenser. So
Oh,
that's
that's
yeah, it's a
wild.
pretty special one for me. Yeah,
It's also, dude, why would you make little Nazi soldier guys? What's going on, man?
I don't know.
They're so scary.
Yeah, they told me to do it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think at some point, like the spikes, they were a bit much. I think the spikes
yeah,
on the helmet, because they referred a little bit too much to like the German emperor back in the
yeah.
day.
The
They had a very
Prussians.
yeah, exactly. They had a very specific helmet design. So probably
Yeah.
in hindsight, they would have liked me to remove it, but yeah, I think they didn't get any backlash from
No, I don't think it did. I don't think it mattered because nobody was looking at the little dudes. It
it.
just until you gave me the card and I started looking at it and I was like, oh, those are creepy. But the
Yeah,
card is awesome, so it doesn't matter.
thank you.
But yeah, like you did like so many robots, like all these gigantic robots, like
Yeah.
the Cityscape Leveler, which is a phenomenal card, Clay Champion, Rootwire Amalgam. Like, did you draw these? They look like they came out of a panorama almost. I
Oh
don't think
no,
you
yeah,
did, but they
no.
feel like they do
Yeah, no,
because
they
they're all
were
in the same
all.
color palette.
Yeah, definitely. Because with that said, we had to keep the factions in mind. So which
Mm,
robot belongs to Mishra, which one belongs to Urza. So
mm,
yeah, this is something we had to consciously think about. For example, the Cityscape Leveler and the Skitterbeam Battalion and the Terror Ballista are obviously Mishra's creations, and
yeah.
then the Platoon Dispenser is something that Urza would have made.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super sick, man. And like the Mishra's Foundry artwork with this big, just it looks again like a big creepy cityscape
Hmm.
of this just like landscape of with this horrifying edifice in the background.
Yeah.
It feels like something you want to role play in,
Oh yeah, for sure.
like the final boss stage.
It was so much fun because I was both involved in the design, yeah, designing the set and also doing the cards. So especially for Mishra's Foundry, I also did the designs for Mishra's Foundry, so I could reference my own work when doing the card.
Mm,
Yeah, that's a really cool position to be in. It was the same with Fountainport, for example. I already
yeah.
designed Fountainport when we were doing Bloomborough, and then yeah, after that they were like, "Oh, Leon, can you just do the card since you've already worked on it?" Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit. Can you tell us what is a concept push and what is it like to work in one?
Yeah, so a concept push is when a team is assembled, like in these heist movies. We assemble a team, and a team of artists will kind of create create the whole world. Create a whole bunch of designs and kind of flesh out the ideas of the world. What are we trying to do in this set? What's happening? What are the cards? What are the major characters?
Mm,
What are the major locations? And all of this needs to be designed, because when cards are commissioned, you would need a consistent art style for it, right? So what happens is the concept push team creates this world guide that defines all of the locations, all of the characters in the world, and then the illustrators, they reference that.
mm,
Because if you would ask 10 different artists to design a robot, you'll get 10 drastically different robots. So you need to
right.
push it into a certain direction. Yeah, so that's what the concept team does.
So
They
that
they
keeps like the magic sets from looking like they did in 1994, where every artist is
Yes.
just drawing whatever they want, and it's just this big
Yeah,
pile.
yeah. I think everything is much more guided and much more story driven. Yeah, there's a bunch more decisions that are being made.
But if you're working from like blank like that, uh, isn't that like hard to do? Like, do they come to you and say like, we need to draw a weird tree, or like how do they like? Because you're literally starting from nothing. You're creating the thing everybody's going to be basing it off of.
Yeah, yeah. But
So,
luckily there are art directors that already have a very clear idea of what they want. So usually
mm,
there's a ton of reference material and a ton of like story that has already been fleshed out. So you almost never start from absolute scratch.
Mm.
Yeah, because that would be tough. There's
Yeah.
already a ton to work off of, and there's a lot of communication involved. So you submit a lot of designs, and like, half of it gets scrapped or gets put into a different direction. So sometimes you're kind of like sailing blindly. You don't know if something will stick,
Mm.
and what you do then is just throw things at a wall and see what sticks, what looks cool, what speaks to people, what speaks to the players. Um, so there's a lot of trial and error involved, I'd say.
Hmm. So, like, for instance, which sets did you do? Have you done concept work on?
Okay, so I can probably name a whole list. I've done the entire Brothers War saga except for the first one. So I didn't do Dominaria United, but I
Mm.
did Brothers War, All Will Be One, March of the Machine,
Oh goodness.
and then we go to Outlaws of Thunder Junction. We go to Duskmorn, Bloomborough.
Oh wow, you've been in a
Um,
lot of these.
yeah, I did a little bit of work for Murders at Karlov Manor, and then sometimes I do some work in between. So, for example,
Mm.
designing the Omen paths,
Oh
that wasn't specifically bound to one set, but it was still something that needed to be defined because it would play a pretty major role in sets to come.
yeah, especially now with those Verge lands that have like people jumping through the
Yeah,
Omen path to go to other places.
exactly.
Like those look really sick. I mean, it's really really cool looking.
Thank you.
But that is a lot of sets in a row, man. Like
Oh
that's like
yeah,
that must just be a very consistent stream of having to, like, it must have been very strange to go from the Bloomborough set to the Duskmorn.
oh, you won't believe. I've been telling people. I was on a panel in Vegas, and I was telling people that I was just happy designing like little structures for bunnies to live in, and then suddenly I had to move it to horror and
Yeah,
designing chairs and evil doorknobs and whatnot. It's it's such a it was a
whiplash.
leap, yeah, for sure. And but also it's really nice because the projects are so different, so
Mm.
you will never ever get bored. Yeah, because you jump from one set to another set. And, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, that is quite the change of pace. Go and like, especially like even in the beginning, like Outlaws of Thunder Junction, drawing like cowboy hats on everything, and then going
Yeah,
to Bloomborough, where you've
yeah.
got little men with like little mice with swords and stuff.
Hmm.
It's just like, what the hell is
Yeah,
going
it's
on?
it's it seems like a leap, but it's definitely interesting. Also, because before I was working for Magic, I was doing that specific niche thing, but
Mm.
working for Wizards has given me the opportunity to kind of branch out and try, new angles, even try a bit of characters, robots.
Yeah,
So actually, as a quote unquote artist, I feel like I'm much more diverse now,
yeah.
or that you have a broader skill set, or whatever you want to call it. So that's really cool because I really like working with wizards. So sometimes they give me assignments, and I'm like, I will never be able to do that. And then I say, yes, pick me, I'll do it.
Well, yeah, it's a good way to learn, right? If your job is painting lands all the time,
Yeah.
then they give you a legend to draw, and you're like, "Oh, cool! How do I
Uh
do
huh.
this?" And I have to practice a brand new skill.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
haven't gotten? Have you done any legends? I don't think you've done any
I
legends yet.
I haven't. No, I've been offered a couple, but I honestly like characters is still a thing that I'm very uncomfortable with. So the one time I thought I would get a legend was there was a card in a Jumpstart booster.
Mm,
Jumpstart booster. It was called Shardless Outlander is what it was called, and it was
mm.
basically Golos on a horse.
Oh no!
So I was like, yes, let's go. My first legendary, but it turned out to be a common.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah,
still.
that is Golos on a horse.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that's
funny.
yeah, and that's the first and only character I've done so far, I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you drew a dog. That was
Oh
cool.
sure, yeah, okay. I did a dog and an armadillo, and yeah,
Yeah, and
okay,
you've done dragon. I
yeah,
really like the train you did in Outlaws, the with the big buzzsaw in the back.
yeah. So that was also a funny thing because I was also part of designing the train together with the team, with Jay
Yeah.
Han Chu and Jose Vega, and then they gave me the fanciest possible train to do, the one with the gold and the diamonds. So yeah, that was
Yeah,
really.
it looks like a weird Kaladesh train got lost in
Yeah,
Outlaws, right?
yeah, that was the only risk when doing it. I was like, this might be a little bit too much Kaladesh, but since they were already talking about Omen Paths, right? So it wasn't that bad to have a
Yeah.
little bit of a crossover between worlds.
Yeah, it made sense. Like this train obviously came from Girapur and it's here.
Yeah,
like,
or it's a designer or engineer who visited Europort to do
exactly
inspirational trips and then came up with this train.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. How did you guys come up with the gear going through the center? I think that's such a sick design.
Yeah, I think that was already defined before we went into the concept push. Yeah, I think they just wanted to do a new take on a train and having the
it
big
looks
buzz
sick
saw.
though, doesn't it? It's so. It feels a little bit like the flanges are pointing the wrong direction in your train. Like
That's
it should
what
be
I
going the
thought
other way. But
too. Yeah, but I think how do you say that? Like those little bits that are on the gear, they have to kind of, how do you say that? They have to
because
propel
they
it
have to like bite
forward.
onto the thing. So
So they have to clasp onto
the gear
onto the railroad itself.
onto the road to actually make it move forward.
I think if it was the other way around, it wouldn't.
Then
work,
it would probably just cut through it, right? Because it would look like a blade. I realized that as I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, of course, if it's going the other way, it's a literal buzzsaw.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is bad. Mm-hmm. But like, for instance, like you did the new chromatic lantern in the Jumpstart set.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really like, chromatic lantern is one of my favorite cards in Magic, and the arts on all of them have been really, really good. But it feels like in this one you made specifically like it to show up like teamer colors. So I was like, oh, is this in the new Saheeli deck? But no, it was actually a Jumpstart card. So I was like,
yeah.
Did they like tell you what colors to point forward, or were you just like?
I think they did, but I think it also made the most sense to me because black and white are, of course, are not colors, and they wanted the card to symbolize, kind of like diversity, like everyone should be welcome to the city. So for me, it was the most logical to just pick green, blue, and red, because then you have a whole spectrum of colors. And I had a hard time like coming up with black lights.
Yeah, that's also fair. You end up with like a lot of purple glow or something.
Yeah, like exactly. I think we came up with something purple. I think it was a decision from the start to have the blue, green, and red be the most prominent colors in the.
You also got to do a couple of the clue lands, which I thought were really, really sick.
Yeah.
The special, like the ones that are like the fancy hollow fountain or whatever it is from. Like I thought putting dual lands in clue, the shock lands in clue was a cute way for them to get people to actually to buy the set, which has so many good cards nobody's ever heard of in it. But like I really like the way you made the hollowed fountain look like it looks like a weird spa inside of a church. I don't really understand.
Yeah. It was an Azorius card, so I wanted it to be over the top and rich looking. So there's just one dude in a bathtub with a ridiculous amount of candles surrounding it,
and this gigantic stained glass, like whole cathedral. Like it looks like in Final Fantasy 15 when you're at the king's castle or something, and it's just like, of course, this is where this absurdly rich guy would be bathing. Inside of a former cathedral.
Sometimes you just want ridiculous details for the sake of having ridiculous details.
What's the point of being an artist if you can't over embellish all the time, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I do all the time. Because in the Netherlands they don't do it. It's all about functionality.
Yeah, it's very austere.
But then I traveled to Thailand to visit family, and then I all of a sudden saw a statue of Buddha. Like it seemed solid gold in the middle of a field, and it was like 20 meters high. I was like, oh, okay, so you can't just have gold stuff for the sake of having gold stuff.
I mean, that was probably gold leaf and not solid gold. But
no, it was not solid. Yeah, but also
they definitely just put them in the middle of the. I remember I was in Malaysia once, and I went to a tea plantation deep in the jungle. Mm-hmm. Like we went up the mountains from Kuala Lumpur into like the heart of the Cameron Highlands. Yeah. And you have to go like 4 hours through this jungle to get there. And you get there and you see these tea fields kind of just flowing down the hill, the terraces. And in the distance, there was a huge Hindu temple that was like a South Indian style. So the tower of the temple, each layer's got like gods and stuff painted on the outside in multicolors and stuff. The idea was so that if you're far away, you can still pray to the temple and see the gods from the outside.
Oh, okay. Temple. Yeah.
It's like very different from North Indian. North Indian is just like plain towers. South India is all but like in the middle of this jungle, in the middle of this tea plantation, there's this huge, gaudy, insanely large thing. And I was like, that's so sick. Uh,
Especially when you're not used to it. It's yeah,
yeah.
it's such a foreign
There's not a
concept.
lot of temples popping up in the middle of the street in America.
No, no, and also even when you think about cars, like in Europe and in America, they're all very functionally designed. But when you go inside a taxi or a van in Thailand, there's even
Yeah.
a gold embellishments on the inside of the taxi. And I was like, ah,
Well,
that
think about it.
puts
These
it.
guys have to sit there all day. Might as well look pretty, right?
Yeah, and it made me feel so much more comfortable just putting gold stuff on all of my designs. It's like you can
Exactly.
just do it for the sake of having the
I mean,
details.
have you ever seen the back of any trucks in India or Pakistan? There's a
No,
whole famous like genre of art where on the backs of these trucks they'll just put like normally they used to put like horn okay please, which is just like if you need to get around me just honk your horn and
oh
do it.
yeah, yeah.
And then over time they would start making these more and more elaborate. The font would get weirder and weirder and then they would just start doing huge dioramas and like paintings of
Yeah.
just insane abstract like plants or gods or whatever it is on these messages. And so you
Yeah.
look at the back of a lorry in India and it's like the thing might be hauling beets or whatever, but the back is this insane like just art and you're like, what the hell
And
is
it's
happening?
so
It's so
interesting
cool.
how something like that just evolves culturally. It's
Yeah,
just
I
a
love
thing
that,
that
man.
happens. No one consciously thinks about it. They're
Right.
just being
Yeah,
more
like
elaborate. Yeah.
but over here all of our trucks are just like trucks, right? Like
Yeah.
there's nothing
Yeah.
on the
Just
back.
trucks.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, here's a phone number to call if I hit you. But like
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Here's my lawyer.
yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Um
yeah.
it's boring, man. It's boring.
Mm,
Art should be fun and crazy looking, and I
for
think it's
sure.
more fun that way.
Yeah. And definitely stepping out of your comfort zone by doing, I'm not a big traveler, but it definitely
Mm.
like made me realize, oh, okay, so here in the Netherlands, it's actually it's quite boring. It's all very
You
planned
know,
out.
dude, I was when I was in the Netherlands, I was like, man, this is like going to the boring parts of America, just like in one tiny little area because it's
Yeah.
very austere. There's a couple
Hmm.
of cool like windmills or something, but it's otherwise just like farms or
Yeah.
very industrial looking cities.
Yeah. It's like
And I'm
very
like,
planned out. Yeah.
yeah. At least Amsterdam's downtown still has that old world kind of vibe to it. But
Yeah.
I was just like, this is very plain for Europe. It feels
Yeah. So even when you travel to Belgium, it's such a huge difference to the Netherlands because in the Netherlands everything is just like very carefully.
very functional.
Yeah, very functional, very planned out living areas. And then as soon as you go into Belgium, it feels like the Wild West. It's just like roads with houses next to them, basically. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it was funny, man. I can't get over how small the Netherlands are, though. Like when
mhm.
Danny picks me up from the airport, he's like, "Hey, you want to go to Germany?" And I'm like, "Isn't that far away?" And he's like, "It's like half an hour away from my house." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"What the hell, man?"
yeah, yeah. It's because like because Dan lives very close to me, so
Mm,
it's about an hour and a half drive to the biggest airport in Amsterdam, and
yeah,
then so that's already half the country basically.
yeah,
And
right.
then we live near the German border, so that's yeah.
Yeah, we went to Dusseldorf for the afternoon. I was like,
Oh, cool.
I called my wife. I'm like, "Hey, I landed, and by the way, I'm in Germany." And she's like, "Weren't you going to the Netherlands?" And I'm like, "Turns out they're just next to each other." We
Yep.
can
Yeah,
just
you can just drive there. There's no real borders
it,
or anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude. If I drive an hour and a half in any direction from where I live, I'm still in California.
Yeah,
So it's like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Just two villages over. Yeah.
right, basically. Um, how did you find Magic
How like as a
when you were
kid
a
when I
kid?
started playing. Yeah, I think I just had a bunch of classmates. We were all like in the like the kind of we're listening to metal music and
Mm,
like we were watching Lord of the Rings. And I think the most logical step from that was either playing Magic or D&D, and we ended up playing Magic. So yeah, it's just something that happens. Like when you have friends that are also nerdy, like, this is bound to happen, basically.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's how we all learn.
Yeah.
I'm just always curious because like they didn't release it in Dutch. So
No.
like, were you guys buying English packs or German
Yeah,
packs? What's going
yeah,
on?
yeah. So since the Netherlands is such a small country, we don't really localize almost all of our media products. So
Mm,
we had TV shows translated to Dutch, but only very like barely. So we learn English at a very early age because international media was only accessible in English. So that's how we learned it. Yeah, a bit sooner.
mm,
So I was playing Pokemon in English when I was 6 years old, and I didn't understand any word. I was just playing the game and finding out your trial and error. Yeah, and then you,
I
of
mean,
course, yeah, older cousins, and they help you out.
yeah, and like you can still like at least the letters are the same as yours, so it's not too different. It's not
Yes,
like playing it in Japanese
exactly. Or
where you're like,
Russian. Yeah,
I don't know what to do with this. But
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just fascinated because like European magic is just like in America, it makes sense. Like we're one big country, and like I lived on the West Coast, so obviously we got the cards first because Seattle comes down to San Francisco. It's very
Mm-hmm.
easy to get. But like when you're out in like far, far away from here, it just is always like insane to me to discover like, especially in like a country where I mean, you guys all spoke language. You learned English in school. You learned English in TV, so
Yeah.
it's not that much of a stretch for you, I guess. And I I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm always a little shocked at the cultural reach of America sometimes,
Mm-hmm. Oh
even though
yeah.
I shouldn't be. Like our export is English, so
Yeah.
but yeah, it's wild. Like
I think the Netherlands especially is always very close, like in following what the US does.
mm,
Yeah, since we're such a small country, like I think in France and Germany, since they have millions and millions of inhabitants, they tend to, how do you say that, like deal with their own people more or less,
mm.
and then yeah, and I think the Netherlands, since it's so small, we're kind of required to reach beyond our own little country.
Yeah, it's like whoever's nearby, you're going to take the inspirations from these other languages and cultures.
Yeah.
And I guess like it's easy. I mean, and like if you once you learn how to play Magic, it doesn't matter what language the card is in, you can figure it out.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like if the land says Gebirg instead of mountain, you know it's more mountain.
Gebirge. That's a good. That's proper
Yeah,
German.
yeah, exactly. What would it be in Dutch? Like
Berg, like Berg.
berg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Berg.
like
Yeah,
iceberg.
yeah, like
Yeah,
iceberg. Yeah, like, exactly written like that, but we would pronounce it as Berg.
berg. Yeah, like I can't do that. My
Yeah.
mouth is not wet enough for that. God, dude,
Yeah.
I ate so much cheese in your country.
Oh yeah. I think
I
I
love
have like
Gouda so
5
much,
blocks of cheese in my fridge right now.
dude.
These things just pile up at some point.
Same, my friend.
Yeah.
And like when I discovered the stupid brown bread and cheese sandwiches you guys have, I was like, this is the greatest thing in the world, and I want to eat these forever.
Yeah.
Like KLM, man, the good food on their airlines.
That
But
it's pretty good. Yeah.
it's unexpectedly given how
Mhm.
how bad the food can be. But what do you want to draw? Like, what would you like wish that the art director would come to you and say, like, give me this thing?
Ooh, I think I've already gotten so many cool assignments that yeah, I've been lucky a lot of the times. Yeah, since usually I'm also on the World Guide, and I end up getting good cards sometimes, so I feel very lucky. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, but yeah, I always feel like I'm getting lucky. For example, for Ixalan, I did one card, Restless Anchorage. It's an
That card is
Azorius
sick.
land, yeah, that turns into a
Yeah.
bird, and it turned out to be one of the stronger ones from those little animal lands. So that
Yeah.
was very nice. But anything, I think definitely the land cycle was the next big thing for me. Being able
Mm.
to draw a full cycle was the next
Yeah.
goal. And I'm not really good at setting goals. I don't really tend to look at the future, so I'm just happy with what I'm getting. But that one definitely felt like, ooh, this is something new and exciting. And also, I think I have for the next set that's coming up, I have a card that is even more exciting to me, but I obviously can't talk about it. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
we will not talk about it because I want you to keep getting work, and I want to
yeah.
be able to keep doing my podcast.
Exactly, and so,
But
but that card, that's gonna be the next thing for me, I think. Yeah,
yeah, it's really cool that they gave you like the whole cycle of 5 in Aether Drift to do the full basic land set.
yeah.
That must have been really neat.
Oh yeah, and it was because I worked on the concept push a lot, so I was really involved in designing the Avishkar and the raceway, stuff like that. So we
Yeah.
just ended up talking on on the platform that we talked to the art
Yeah.
directors on, and yeah, they were just like, "Hey, you want to do a land cycle?" And I was like, "Yes."
I love
Yeah.
the way your planes looks. and that it's like a view from between the spires of like a
Yeah,
bazaar inside of Girapur, and I was like,
yeah.
that's so sick.
It was definitely the hardest one because there was so many tiny details I needed to draw in.
Yeah, there's like a lot of
Yeah.
people in there and lots of like
Hmm.
just stalls and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it looks really cool. It feels like the sort of thing that you would stumble on if you're walking into through these towns.
Yeah, in between watching race
Yeah.
cars demolish each other.
It was cool. I got to work a little bit. I did the I was a creative consultant on the Avishkar, I mean on the
Oh yeah.
Aether Drift World Book. So
Hmm.
it was really neat to see all the concept art initially and then be like, hey, I need you guys to change these things and then see what it looks like in the final set. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so
Hmm.
cool. Um,
Yeah, I really like that cultural consultants get involved as well.
yeah,
Um, because
it makes it
what
fun.
do I know? Like I'm a dude from the Netherlands. There's only so much research that I can do, but I don't have the cultural background to back it up, of course.
Well, I mean, when they make the windmill set, you'll be set, right?
Oh yes, there we go. That's why Bloomborough was easy. Like designing the little rabbit windmills. That was
Yeah,
that's my cup
windmills
of
and
tea.
dikes, you guys are set. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go.
If they ever make the wooden clog set, I think we'll be totally
Oh,
get
it's
your full
coming. It's
trifecta.
coming. Believe me. No, it
Oh
would be
man.
very boring. I think like Dutch mythology is a bit. It's always a bit. Uh, I don't know. How do you say that? It's a bit dirty. Like, it's just a bunch of dirt and mud and swamps involved. Yeah,
A lot of
there's
very rustic
yeah.
rural feel.
We don't have dragons or cool elves or what.
It's like
It's just like
gnomes and animals out in the fields
yeah,
just kind of hanging
gnomes, animals, hags, witches, and yeah.
out. Not very friendly people.
No, no.
Man, but the anchorage cycle, the restless cycle of lands in Ixalan, where each of them looks like kind of the animal from
Yeah,
above or something. I thought
yeah.
that was such a clever conceit for those.
It's really interesting assignment, and what I really liked about doing that specific card is that it brought me back to my comfort zone when just doing the big cityscapes from top
Yeah.
down. So yeah, this was definitely the first card, the card assignment that I received that I was like, oh yeah, I can finally do my thing again.
Just draw a million different tiny little
Yeah,
houses in the
little
shape of a bird. It'll
houses.
be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
That's awesome. Oh man. Like it's funny, like you've been a part of so many sets and you have so few cards, but all of them are mythics and it's crazy.
yeah.
Did
It's I don't know what it is.
did you have to draw the back and the front of the battles for the that one set
Yes.
mom?
Yeah, I think every artist that got assigned a battle did both the front and the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. But it's so yeah, definitely. That's
No, I think
why
you're right. I think you're right.
yeah. So Invasion of Ravnica was a bit harder for me because the background or the backside of the card featured a character. It was kind of a golem,
Yeah.
like a guild pact golem swinging a big sword. But that was hard because I have a hard time drawing figures and movement and yeah, I'm slowly improving, but it
Like,
definitely back
what's the
then I
problem? Is it
wasn't.
like the perspective or something? Like, how can you
Yeah.
draw buildings easy but not people?
So okay, so that I use 3D a lot.
Mm,
So I think most people know that it's because before I went to work for Magic, I was working in the game industry a lot as a 3D modeler.
mm.
So I use that background to create architecture. And what I've been using more lately is VR. So I have this VR headset, this Oculus Rift,
Oh,
and
what?
yeah, and I put that on my head, and with the controllers, I basically sculpt my 3D models.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, and I've been using that for I think almost all of my cards have some sort of VR sculpting in that.
That's wild. I never even imagined
Cool,
doing
right?
that. Like,
Yeah.
how does that work? Like, so inside your program, you've got like a wireframe or something, and you can just drag it or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. So you're literally holding two controllers, and you're inside of your creation. So you can turn it around, make it bigger. You can walk
so you
around it
still
if
have
you
to
wanted
like do
to.
something flat, and then you go put the VR goggles and go inside and manipulate it.
No. So it's you start working in 3D from the get go. So you're
Mm.
literally playing with shapes, and yeah, that's it. You're literally sculpting, but without having to touch
That's
clay
so
and get your hands
cool.
dirty. Yeah,
I've never heard of anybody doing that before. That's amazing. I mean, it makes sense.
there's
Like,
it was a trend. Like when it just came out, people were starting to get into it, especially in the game industry on the concept art side of things because it's super fast. Like yeah, it's so easy to sculpt something quick. But I
mm,
think the trend kind of ended, and not many people have been using it as their like main their main workflow. But I kind of stuck with it because it felt very comfortable to me, and I've been doing it
That's
ever
super
since.
sick.
And yeah, and I know that Jose Vega, who is on the concept, who is working in house at Wizards, he used it as well. And I think some other
I think this
people.
is the first time I've heard of anybody actually using VR for something instead of just
Yeah,
playing terrible games on the system.
yeah, that's it, because like it never really got as popular as people thought it would be.
Because
But
it takes up a lot of space to play games, and
yeah,
people are like, this doesn't seem very useful to me. And most people are not sculpting in 3D, right? Like,
yeah,
so
yeah. So but definitely for me, I just kind of stuck with it, because when you're a 3D modeler, when using your mouse and your keyboard, it's just very slow. Like you have tons of
Mhm.
tedious hotkeys that you have to
Right.
do, and here with the VR, you're actually inside of your creation. Um, and
That
yeah,
must have felt so cool the first time you tried it out.
oh, and also weird because
Yeah.
it's very straining at first. Like you get used to it, but at first, like you can't do it for more than an hour because your eyes, they need to get adjusted, and
Yeah.
yeah, and
Do you use it
still,
like change of perspectives or something, or is it like? Can you walk us through kind of how that works? Because I think people are very
mm,
curious, or at least I am.
yeah. So
So, like, pick a
basically,
card and tell me how that would have been manipulated 3D wise.
oh yeah, sure. So when we picked the Cityscape Leveler, I think that
Okay.
one is quite well known. So there's a couple of aspects that this image needs. So the first one is the Cityscape Leveler itself, and then
Mm,
the second thing is buildings for the
yeah,
city that the Cityscape Leveler is leveling.
is leveling.
Yeah, and then the third minor thing is like minor characters that are running away from it.
Yeah, I see
And
that.
it's a very methodical way of approaching it. So you have to think about it like playing with a box of Lego,
Mm,
but instead of having the Lego, you create the bricks yourself.
mm,
So what I do is I have my little crude sketch on paper about how the cityscape level should look like. And then I just make a little mental list for myself. Okay, how many buildings do I need? What does the leveler look like? And then I just start creating all of these little building blocks in VR, so in a virtual space where I'm just chugging away at my big robot,
uh
and
huh.
and then how that process would go. It's there's a ton of footage that can be found online. I use a software called Gravity Sketch.
Mm.
I think it's even free still, so that's even more ridiculous, like compared to paying $1,000 for a regular 3D subscription. Um, but it's basically, there's just these two controllers and there's a couple of buttons on it. So instead of having your keyboard and 1,000 of hotkeys, there's just
Mm.
a couple of rudimentary tools that you're
Right.
using. So it's just when I press this button, I create a shape, and then with the other thing, I can manipulate the shape to look like what I want it to look like. And then once you get used to that, you realize like, oh, I can basically sculpt anything with it,
That's so crazy.
like you're doing with clay. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Um,
so neat.
it's very nice. And actually I'm not allowed, but so the cityscape leveler would be able to be 3D printed. Actually, I could have it on my desk. Yeah,
That would be so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it would. Yeah, so it's not possible, but yeah,
I
that
mean, you
could
could do it
be
for yourself
done.
and
Oh
your
yeah, for
friends
sure. Yeah.
and various people you know in San Francisco. Um, dude, that's hella sick, man. That is
Hmm.
such a the idea of doing that in 3D and being able to have a full like you. That means you could probably pick up that cityscape leveler and put it into any art piece
Oh
or
yeah,
manipulate it however you want.
I
And
can throw it in a
that's
fountain port if I wanted to. Yeah. and and it's a very interesting way of working because I'm working with 3D scenes. So what I do is I create the whole scene and then I decide what camera perspective I like the most for the card. So
Mm,
it's a different way of working, as where a traditional artist would just do a couple of crude sketches maybe and
mm,
send that to Wizards to get approved. I would create the whole scene and then pick cool perspectives from that scene. So the initial work is it's a little bit harder, I'd say, because you have to create all of the assets. But once that's done, you don't have to worry about lighting anymore, about composition, because you've already thought about that when you were crafting all of these little 3D
yeah,
models. Yeah.
man. that means you could stick the Cityscape leveler in the hallowed fountain bathtub
For
and just have
sure.
him hanging out.
Yeah, just have it chill out.
It's like after a long day of leveling cities, I
Yeah,
just want to go and take my bath in my Azorius Cathedral.
exactly. Have have a little sippy sip of whatever beverage you're preferring. Yeah, don't worry
Phyrexian
about.
oil juice. Let's go.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you also drew for me this really sick ornithopter, and
Oh,
then
that's right.
yeah, like on the Keeper of the Favor cards, and then drew a little me on there going yeehaw.
Yeah,
And I was like, this is the
yeah,
sickest thing in the world. I
yeah.
love it so much.
And that's funny when you can't draw characters, just draw them very small and
Yeah,
pretend
just
you're
draw very small, and it's just like, oh look, the ink will
exactly.
handle the rest.
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing traditional?
I'm slowly transitioning into it. This is a very good question because when AI became a thing, it kind of, for me, it kind of devalued digital artwork. Because, and this is a personal thing, because I really hate working with AI because it takes away all the joy of creating. Not to sound
And
cool
it's
or whatever.
theft, man. It just
Yeah,
it's like,
also, yeah, it's but even apart from the ethic dilemma, it's just not fun for me.
yeah,
So
because you're not doing anything. It's the
yeah,
computer's doing it. Like,
exactly. And still, so some people might argue because I work in 3D. Like a couple of years ago, people would say, "Dude, you work in 3D. You let the computer do the thinking." But I'm still in control of all of the things I make. Right? I still sculpt the characters by myself. I just do it on a computer. So I am still making all of the decisions when doing a card, when doing a design. But with AI, all of the decisions are made for you, apart from the little prompt that you type in. You're like, oh, I want a little dragonfly with rainbow wings, 4K HD, octane rendered, high res. Yeah, and then it just throws a bunch in your face, and then you just pick one. And,
that's
yeah,
boring.
and then apart from that is I feel like for every digital artwork I make, there's a billion AI artworks that also are there. So for me it kind of devalues my work a little bit. So I've slowly been transitioning into traditional art. Also, because of Magicons, I found out that people really like painted artist proofs.
Yeah, they do.
So that's a great for me. That was a great little gateway to get into more traditional art because I can learn to paint while actually doing commissions for people, and
Exactly.
and it also makes people very happy, and that makes me super duper happy. So that's a
Dude,
great way.
I mean, like, that's the thing. I love showing off all of the like altars and stuff I get from
Yeah.
artists because it looks cool. It's unique.
Mhm.
It's like, for a lot of us, it's the closest we can get to owning original Magic art.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we can't, because like, some of these things are tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh yes, yeah.
And
I have friends that also have these paintings that are worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's
It's crazy. Like, and so it's good for you because it gives you a revenue stream. And having an original art selling for $1 billion is great.
Yeah.
Go, happy birthday.
Yeah.
But it's good for me because that I can own a little card that's got a little piece of original artwork on it.
Yeah.
And I can say, look, this is mine.
It
and
feels so much more special when you hold something in your hands. That's why I really like working for Magic, because when you make a digital artwork, it just remains on the computer, and then a card comes out, and you're suddenly holding this little card with your artwork on it. That makes it feel so much more real.
Yeah.
But how do you feel the American culture of collecting compares to the European one?
Oh man, I don't think it's necessarily cultural. I think it's just there's a certain type of player that like plays. If you play Magic, by and large, you're already leaning towards being a person who likes to collect things.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
like we're just inherently, and like all of the games and stuff we get these days are all like collectathons, or like get all the rings, or get all the thingy bobbers, catch all the achievements, right? Like for me, having played this for like 30 years or whatever, I've seen a lot of my friends go and we've taken our big collections and shrink them down to nothing or throw them all away or whatever. I find that if I instead collect a small subset, then I scratch that urge to collect things without filling my house with crap. And like artists, like for instance, my friend EK has a full commander deck where every single card is an artist proof with a sketch on the back from the artist.
Wow.
And it is sick. And it is so cool. And I think that like I absolutely love the fact that I can wait in line and get Jason Engel to draw a thing for me, or get Ryan Panko to draw something for me.
Oh yeah.
And it's cool, right? Like, and then for instance, there's the artist, Evan Fong.
Yeah.
And she I've commissioned her 4 or 5 times to draw super cute tokens for my Minskin Boo deck. So
Mm-hmm.
she's gotten me a picture of Boo with a little cape on because jumping and throwing.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, and like my son, he looked at these when he was like a few years ago, and he was so like thrilled by the way she had drawn that he started drawing his own tokens for
Oh,
me to give to
really?
her. So this time around, I was able to give her tokens that my son had drawn for her,
Oh, that's
and
fantastic.
she was super excited about that. It's like, and I just think that it builds this relationship with this artist
Oh,
that
yes.
we don't
Yeah.
normally get to have.
Yeah.
And like,
It's
it's sick. It's super
it's
cool.
yeah, it's also such a cool way of communicating like appreciation, especially when your kid then draws like their own
Yeah.
tokens. That's really cool.
It's adorable, right? Like
Yeah.
you drew this little like, snake token that looks like they're the missing no
Oh, dope. Yeah.
from
Oh, from
Pokemon or
Pokemon.
whatever.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, don't get me started on that. Yeah, because I was playing that game when I was 6, and I then encountered this glitch in the game. But that was scary.
And it's
Yeah,
terrifying looking. It's such a
yeah.
weird looking monster. But yeah, that thing's awesome, man.
So
Anyways, dude.
yeah, I feel that like in the Netherlands, we don't
Mm,
have as much of a collectors
I
thing
think
going
that's a
on.
Dutch thing, is that you
Yeah,
guys just in general, and I don't like the word austere, but you tend to be more austere than a lot of other Europeans. I think there's
down
something
to
about the
earth maybe. Yeah,
yeah. It's
I
just there's some
I
you're very functional and very like practical.
I remember like when I was at Magical in Amsterdam that I started feeling guilty for charging $5 for an autograph or $10 for a shadow autograph. Because yeah, the Dutch people are very down to earth. They're like, I'm not gonna pay that for a little scribble. Come on. So yeah, and I
That's
started
funny.
seriously doubting myself because in the US they're like, of course I'll pay you double.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but it's still really cool. I made a bunch of friends also in Chicago. I met a couple of them who specifically gather artist proofs with a certain team. So a friend of mine, Braden, he has a whole binder full of Kermit the Frog based APs.
Yeah.
So I
I,
did a cityscape leveler Kermit the Frog for him. Like it's a Kermit
well,
the
I mean,
Frog about to demolish a city.
oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You've seen my soldier collection, like all these
Yes.
hand drawn from artists and from
Incredible.
designer and everything. It's like some people just like to have. I think it's super sick to see what your soldier looks like versus somebody else's soldier versus like whatever.
Yeah.
It's really fun and it keeps it interesting for me.
And that's also the cool thing about the game is that every artist has such a different way of approaching doing cards. Because for me, with my 3D background, I have a vastly different approach compared to Jesper Eising, for example, who
Yeah,
does everything on paper with acrylics and gouache. Yeah.
yeah. So has it been hard for you to have to transition to trying to do these things in paper and pen, like
Um,
the on the back of an artist proof or whatever?
Oh, for sure. But so what really helps is because I've gotten quite fast at doing digital artwork. Because I'm on the concept push a lot, and then speed is definitely a thing. Like doing as much as you can in a short amount of time. So I gotten really fast at creating little references and guidelines for myself. So what I typically do to make it easier for me is that I would do a digital scribble and then use that as a reference for my traditional little painting. Um,
That's super cool.
yeah, and with APs, especially when people would just like the art that's on the front of the card on the back, then it's definitely easy because you have
You already
of
have
course you
the
have the
reference right
card.
there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's it's like painting in Photoshop, but you have to blend the paints yourself, and it's tedious and takes a long time.
But it feels really cool though,
It
and everybody
feels
likes it a
way
lot.
better. Yeah, the dopamine little dopamine shot you get when finishing an AP is definitely way better than doing a digital artwork.
Did you notice this year that a bunch of artists were getting more? There's a weird shadow war with the artists of like how to make your signature even more insane.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like there's a couple of guys who had like the heat treated, like they like sear their like signature
Yeah,
on with multiple colors.
I have seen, and also people that paint in like highly reflective signatures that has like the reflection of the sky and of the earth in the same signature.
And then like the black light ones that you're
Yeah,
doing, or
yeah,
like freaking my friend Shmandrew, who was
yeah,
doing these giant elaborate graffiti signatures on top of the
yeah,
bottom of his
yeah.
cards. I'm like, buddy. Like,
I've seen it. Yeah,
you're gonna break your wrist doing
it's so
30 of these.
funny when you're walking on these artist alley and you see people just working away at their super elaborate signatures. Like imagine when you're getting commissioned the first card, they ask you, "Oh, do a cool signature," and you make the most elaborate one, and then having to draw that exact thing for 10 years. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure there's some artists that are now going like, I've made a mistake.
Oh, 100%. Every time I talk to them, that's why, like, when I talk to Jason Engel, his signature is just JAE with like slashes. And I'm like, you thought about this, didn't you? He's like, yeah, man.
Yeah, he's one of the lucky ones.
Calligraphy all day.
Yeah.
Did you go and walk around the outer styles and like talk to your colleagues while you were there?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but it was so busy, so I
the busiest con of all time.
I remember walking into the Chicago MagicCon early in the morning, and I felt so lost because I only experienced it from sitting behind a table. So I was like, what do I do now? Yeah, so I just hung out at the free play tables and at the Creators Center. I was helping some friends out, and but yeah, I definitely got the chance to talk to some people afterwards when they were not busy. But yeah, it was very hard to grab their attention because So yeah,
they were just slammed all the time.
Oh yes, I sat behind Evan Fong's booth for a little bit because I think she had to do some commissions, and there were so many people just going by. Like, is Evan available? Is Evan available? And so definitely it was a bit harder to talk to people. Also because at the end of the day, they're so tired, and so I didn't want to bother too much, but I luckily got the chance to talk to most of them.
Well, good. Man, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been really, really fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you. Also, at the cons, you're very nice to talk to, and
I try.
Oh well, you're doing a very good job, and I'm very happy to be able to explain a little bit about my workflow and. Yeah.
So if folks wanted to find you or see your art or something, where could they go aside from just looking at Scryfall?
Yeah, I think they can just Google my name, Leon Tukker, and it already goes to it probably already links to Instagram and ArtStation. And I think on my Instagram there's a link tree that goes to all of my other links, so my online portfolio and things like that. And my Instagram is just Leon dot Tukker at or Instagram or whatever it is. Yeah, it's just my handle is Leon. Leon Tukker.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, thank you again so much. And as always, my friends, you can find me at Shivam Bhatt on Blue Sky, or you can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold, or at YouTube every Tuesday, thanks to my editor, Dan. You can also hear me on Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic, or the Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast. And with that, my friends, remember, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time.